This is the plaintiff, Hamid Shagri. He says he worked for the defendant's car service as a driver, but things didn't work out. He wants the security deposit he gave the defendant for the car he drove. The guy owes him for unpaid wages, and the louse has to be stopped because he's done this to other drivers he knows. He's suing for $1,041.52, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Abraham Shenhav. He says the plaintiff worked only 9 jobs for him, then abruptly changed his mind and told him he wanted out. He's a businessman and is trying to make a living just like everyone else. In fact, he's the one who lost money on this guy and most definitely owes him nothing. He's accused of driving a guy mad.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff worked for the defendant's car service, got stiffed, but the defendant says the dude only worked 9 jobs and then bailed. It's the case of I serviced you, now service me.
Okay, Hamid Shagri?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing Abraham Shenhav?
Yes, ma'am.
For $1,041.52 that you say is owed to you as a result of an employment contract, sort of not really independent contractor thing you had going on with him as a driver. Tell me what happened.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Hamid Shagri. I was driving his car. I have a contract with him on February 3rd.
And what was the contract?
That's Exhibit A and B. I have a copy of this.
All right, I have a copy of it. What I want to know is your understanding of the agreement.
Yes, the agreement was like I have to drive like the week. If I drive the whole week, then I have to pay him. The first 2 weeks, he said I have to pay like $400 a week. I have to pay.
Now you.
But then I returned his car on February 7th on Tuesday.
So just a second. It's your car.
Yes, ma'am.
You actually own it, or you lease it also? Okay. Then you rent it out to him.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to him, he's supposed to pay you $400 a week.
$450.
$450, and that's what the.
Well, no, Your Honor. For 3 days, they told me that you can drive car to see how much you can make money like that, you know. And when I started, I feel like I can make it the money they told me that. That's the reason, like a false, misleading, tell me that.
Because they told you
then
what?
I scared. They told me that very easily you can make $250 or $300 a day.
And so you have it for 4 days. They give you business. You don't feel it's enough business. And you decide, this is for the birds. I don't want to do this.
Yes,
and so you return the car 4 days later.
Right.
Okay, now it's the weekend when they're, all right.
I feel the statement they are saying you can make $250 or $300 a day very easily, right? I scare myself.
I got it. I think I have what you're saying.
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
saying to me, Judge, yes, I signed a contract. And yes, my contract is for 6 months of rental of this car. But you shouldn't keep me to that, Judge, because they lied to me. They induced me to go into this contract claiming that I'd make $250 a day, and I am not making $250 a day. So I want what? The $500 security deposit that you paid to them back.
That's right.
You don't want to pay any rent for those 3 days, but you want to get your percentage of the payment from those 3 days without paying rent.
Without paying rent.
You want me to cook dinner for you too? And
yes, ma'am. Well, actually.
Hold on. Stop. Respond to what he is saying, that you guys defrauded him and you guys told him that he'd make all this money and then he didn't make all this money. Go ahead.
The first, yes. He work a weekday, only 1 day.
Friday.
Half day in Friday, and few hours in Monday.
Are weekdays
How exactly
busier?
he know if can make the money or not, I don't know. What indication? Now, I tell you what the reason, what he tell me why he leave.
Why?
This is not the reason. This is the reason, nice to put it here. I don't have money to run the car or the Easy Pass, because you need gas and Easy Pass. And you know what I advise him? No problem, we can figure out. I can give you. I have all time his voucher. I can take money from there. I'm not worried about this. The problem is, he said, okay, I want to think about this. I'll let you know in a few days. In the end from the day, the guy signed the contract, and he want me to be a volunteer to give you all the money.
Well, that's interesting because he's suing you. He wants the only money that ever went from here to there is the $500, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the contract that you have with him says you're going to get 67% of the fares, right? The contract with Partners Executive says you will get what percentage of the fares does he get?
He gets 67%.
67%. Okay, why do you look at me like I'm from Mars when I just said that and you looked at me like what?
No.
Okay.
Depends. They have percentage. If you look,
right.
if you read all the statements.
If he demands it the same day, it's 53%. But he did.
Yeah,
all right, so for, in his case,
they have 26%, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
In his case, because he hasn't been paid, in his case, it's the larger percentage, 67%. So, and he in his demand letter is asking for 100%. Right, I got it. So he wants you to pay him the 67%. No, he wants you to pay him 100%. Plus, he wants you to return the security deposit of $500, even though you drove the car for 4 days.
Yes, ma'am.
And your only entitlement to get a percentage of the fees is if you pay rent. You can't not pay rent for the car. I'm talking.
Okay,
you can't not pay rent for the car and then get the percentage of the fees. So I don't know. You sound a little greedy.
If the guy who runs the car service says, oh, you'll make a certain amount of money, and he doesn't, can the guy bail?
No, he can't bail. I mean,
why?
Contract's a contract. You know, there are certain stipulations that may have been discussed. However,
I get your point. Going inside the courtroom.
Your answer to this is, Judge, I don't want to pay him anything, not even the 67%.
No, I don't say this.
What are you saying?
If I own him, I own him maybe $100, even not this.
But why?
I waste time. I pay $6,000 insurance a year. $22,000 cost me this car. And somebody signed a contract like it's nothing. I can keep going. I can get paid.
Do you guys promise the drivers that they're going to make a certain amount a day?
We don't promise nothing.
Is there anything in the contract guaranteeing you that you're going to make? Of course not. Listen to my question. Is there anything in, you signed like how many contracts?
No.
Like 2 or 3 different contracts.
Yes.
Is there anything in any of those contracts that say you're going to make a minimum of $250 to $300 a day? Nothing.
No, not in the contract, ma'am.
No. The only way he's wrong, because you clearly have stopped the contract, is if you are allowed to stop the contract. And the only way that can happen is if you're able to prove to me that someone, despite the 3 contracts you sign where they don't guarantee you something, that someone guaranteed you something. I mean, at what point is there a little personal responsibility in this life where sometimes it's just a bad business decision? You may have done this for 4 days and you may decide, this isn't for me, I'm not making enough money, it's fine. But is there ever a consequence for people for signing something and then making a business decision like that? Why does somebody else have to pay for that business decision? Why isn't it just something that, all right, I'm going to cut my losses and move on? You know, you were supposed to drive that car for 6 months and pay $450 every week for 6 months. He's not chasing you for that. I find it even.
Thank you.
When plaintiff signed a contract and he's got to stick to it, step on in here. What's your feeling about the verdict now?
Actually, I feel like maybe I didn't convince judge like what happened, but look like I lose all my money.
Why didn't you stick with the job and try it for a little bit longer?
But they make a promise you can make it. That's the key.
Right.
That's the main thing.
All
so,
right.
yeah.
All right, write down around the corner. Okay, sign your documents around.
Okay.
Right this way. Okay, so come on in here and tell me. So what do you think happened here?
I think it's great. What's supposed to happen? You cannot sign a contract and nothing not happen. It's like, no, you're not responsible for nothing. And you walk away, you can do whatever you want.
Isn't it hard for the driver who signs it? Isn't it hard for those guys to make a buck?
If you put the 12 hours and you're a hard worker and you know the job, you make your money.
Harvey?
If there was a guarantee the guy would make a certain amount, that's one thing, but no guarantee here.